Welcome to Bad Lit Friends, the writing podcast that barely knows what it's doing. I'm your host, Rylan, and these are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Megan Thompson-Mann.
And I'm Kirk Rafferty.
And today we have Pitch Perfect, a deep dive into online pitch events.
What a fascinating topic that I may be slightly obsessed with.
What a great topic to kick off our 147th episode.
No, 12.
No, it's 12. It's our 12th episode.
Close enough.
We're doing a great job.
We are doing a great job. Yes. This week, we're going to dive into pitch contests, which take place primarily on Twitter and now on Blue Sky and occasionally on Instagram. We'll get into that. We'll talk about what they are, what they're good for, what they're not good for, and when they go wrong.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, guys, what are you up to this week in terms of writing?
I am still editing book 2. I'm going to make a huge effort to try to get all of that editing done this weekend. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pull it off. And I don't want to get myself into a situation where I'm like speeding through it. So I'm going to, just edit, hope I get through it, but kind of accept it if I don't. I just really want to get this manuscript turned in so that, we can finally take it on sub.
I believe in you.
I believe in you too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I haven't gotten very much done, but I am at 30,800 words in my horror manuscript.
Excellent. I have finished my rough of my revision. I expect that I'm actually going to be ready to send off my pages to the agents who requested them at the Colorado Gold conference 3 weeks ago.
Was that 3 weeks ago?
It was 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know that was 3 weeks ago because 3 weeks ago you said that you were going to have your pages ready in 3 weeks.
Yes.
And you are.
I am indeed going to have them ready.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I've added 2 new chapters, revised some sections. Now I just need to go through and tighten. I'm going to be doing that all day Sunday because Saturday I am going to go select a wedding dress.
Yay!
Yeah, so I'm actually feeling pretty good. I cannot wait to get this back into the trenches. I feel so much more excited about this book than I have in a very long time. And I'm also excited to get back to my work in progress, which I miss so much. That is my incentive on days when I'm like, I don't really need to finish this revision. I can just get back into the other one. I just think, no, I got to finish this one and then I'll go to the next one. And book 5 is still out there waiting for me. And book 6, I don't want to talk about book 6. So,
yeah.
And book 7. So
excellent.
Yep. So today's focus is going to be online pitch events. Are these events actually helpful routes towards publication? Are they performative Hunger Games in a querying circus? Or are they ways of connecting with other writers? Or are they all of the above?
Yeah.
Kirk, you're the person who introduced me to these online pitch events and actually basically twisted my arm on one day and said, you should do this. And I said no. And then you said, I'm going to twist your arm harder. And then I did it.
And now you've fallen in love with mood boards.
Yes, mood boards. I'm going to talk to everybody about mood boards. I'm very excited about that.
So I started doing pitch events on Twitter back in the day. I started even before I was looking for an agent, I think. The reason I was doing it was kind of building community. My book wasn't really ready to query yet. But the vast majority of my pitch event participation was when I was looking for an agent. A lot of them are happening on Blue Sky now also. But essentially, it is an event where writers can put together typically a mood. Every pitch event is different, right? So typically, like they'll put together a mood board. There's also a Unhinged Pit, which has you do something like completely insane, silly, whatever with your book. I actually made like a little, just the stupid
stick figures,
yeah, that kind of poked fun at my book. So those are a lot of them. So they come in different forms, but when you boil it all down, the idea is to get literary agents' attention. Some of these events, agents participate more in than others. It used to be, I'm trying to think of like the really popular pitch event that started it all. Was it Pit Mad?
Yeah, Pit Mad.
Some of the kind of early original pitch contests were you pitch your book in a tweet, maybe attach a graphic, maybe attach a mood board. I think mood boards were really starting to pick up then. And then the rule was nobody does a like on that post except agents. So if an agent wants you to submit, they put a like, right? So everybody was going on and on about, oh my God, I didn't get any agent likes, or they'd be so happy because they got one or two agent likes or something like that. There was kind of the event and then the post event, which was, yay, I got an agent like.
One of the things that you do when you're doing these pitches is that you're essentially boiling down your pitch for your book into whatever the character limits are for a tweet,
Mhm,
or which I
mhm.
think it's 240 characters. I'm off Twitter, so I don't know anymore. On Blue Sky, it's 300 characters. You do it with specific hashtags. So you're always going to do a hashtag, whatever the hashtag is for the event, you're going to put that in. And then sometimes things like if it's a young adult, hashtag YA, sci-fi, SF, adult A, picture book PB, and on and
Yeah.
on and on,
And
right?
it lets the agents search on those hashtags.
Additionally, there's usually a strict time limit. So it's often 12 hours, sometimes it's 24 hours. You are essentially you're promoting your book, right? You're promoting your book to agents, but you're also promoting it within your community.
Mhm, mhm.
One of the things that these pitch contests are really good for, and some of them are very open about this, is that they're great at building community. It's not so much for the agents. Who knows if they're going to show up? Especially on Blue Sky, agents are slowly moving over from Twitter to Blue Sky, but you're still going to find more of them on Twitter. The question is, do you want to be on Twitter? For those of you
Yeah.
still on Twitter, go with God. It's it's not someplace I want to be anymore. The idea is that you're supposed to be getting direct attention from agents and maybe skipping a step, right? Because if you get a like from an agent, essentially it's saying, go ahead and query me. Agents sometimes will have specific links set up on Query Tracker or elsewhere, or they'll send you a DM and say, okay, here's where I want you to send your first, 20 pages, 30 pages, your query letter, your synopsis. You're automatically getting in, and you might even bump up a couple of spaces. We were talking the other week when we were talking about conferences, how you can put in your query letter, I met you at a conference and you said I should pitch you.
Yeah. At the very least, it's personalization in your query
Yes,
letter, right? Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no promise. There's no promise that you're going to get any further than that. So they can be addictive. I certainly, Kirk knows me. I am always doing these contests because I like them. I'm slightly embarrassed to admit it, but I love the feeling of being around all of these people being absolutely manic and pitching their books, and we're all bumping each other up, especially at times when we're feeling down about our own work. They can be really positive places to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the ones that are currently going on. Rylan, have you done many of these? I think you've done a couple.
I did one. I did the Whip Snips event, the Whip Snips pit, and that was for all genres. You could even do it if you had a work in progress, which was me. I didn't have a completed manuscript, but that was a lot of fun.
I also did the Whip Snips one, and it was a lot of fun. Whip Snips has a word of the day, and you go into your work in progress and you find a snippet from your work that features the work in progress, and then you post that little snippet of your work. It's a hype event, a daily hype event.
And that is not an agent event. That is just a community building event.
Yes, it is. They had a pitch event, and it was a lot of fun. It's a very positive community to begin with.
Mhm.
And then to have something off the back of that, that was great. There were some agents, from what I understand, who were taking part, but for the most part, it was a community building event. I've taken part in, let's see, these are just ones off the top of my head that I scribbled down earlier. Quest Pit, Unhinged Pit, Chaos Pit, a Blue Pit, Pop-Up Pit, and I also took part in DV Pit, which is for diverse authors. But in addition to those, there are also a number of pitch events that are for underrepresented authors. So there's Pit Dis, which is for disability, and also Queer Pit, and there's Black Pit, and there are some others which I am sure that I am not even aware about. But they all kind of come out of Pit Mad, which was the first one, from what I understand, and it was launched in 2012 on Twitter only. That was the big one. It's been gone for 2 or 3 years now. There was a sci-fi only one, sci-fi and fantasy one. There are some other specialty ones that are kind of straddle the line between these online madness 12-hour window things. RevPit, are you either of you familiar with
I've done
RevPit?
RevPit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So RevPit is an opportunity for authors to get connected with mentors who will help them revise their manuscripts with the aim of submitting them, querying them. And it's a longer timescale where you're submitting works through, I believe, like a Google form. And there's also Small Pit, which is for small presses, and that's through a dedicated server, I believe. So they kind of straddle the line between these pitch events and something that takes a little bit longer. They are addictive. So
Yeah, it's interesting how they've kind of gone from this event where, you know, they're very highly agent focused now to more community focused. Part of that I think is just because there are so many pitch events, and agents would never get anything done if they were participating in every single pitch event, right? But I think the other reason too is just that, you know, there are so many different ways to write things out there. Just a handful of pitch events is not going to cover all those different things. So what's the good stuff? What's good about these pitch events?
well, theoretically, you get direct access to agents, right? So if they are paying attention, if they are taking part, and sometimes it's also editors, but you'll get agents looking, saying, hey, I would like you to query me, which is kind of upending the paradigm that we normally have, where we're trying to identify the agents who are going to be interested in our stuff. You flip it. And you're like, "Oh, wow, there's somebody out there. I feel validated." And when you get that first agent, like, you do feel validated.
Can I tell you a funny pitch event story
Absolutely.
with regards to an agent? So the agent that I wound up with actually had my manuscript in her hands. She was reading it when a pitch event came around. I was posting on this pitch event. And on that pitch event, I had actually gotten two other agent likes. And so she told me later that she like burned the midnight oil going through my manuscript because she saw those agent likes.
Well, that's great.
Now, I don't think that's typical. It was really cool that it worked out, and she said, you know, I was gonna offer either way, but, you know, agents really are participating in these things. They really are looking at not only your pitch, but they're also looking at who's liking the pitch, right? Like, it is a little competitive out there, I
I will
think.
point out that your agent also liked one of my pitches, and yet she does not represent me. It's all right. No hard feelings. Yeah, that's probably the biggest draw, I think. It's also free. Free in the sense that your labor is not free, but nobody's charging you to take part in these things. It's also most of these, if not all of them, are open to people around the world. All you need to do is be able to access the internet. Right. I recently took part in DV Pit for diverse voices, and there were a lot of people from all over the world. I was really interested in how many authors from India were taking part because I hadn't really seen them in the online spaces where I've been active. And there were a lot of Indian authors, and it was so cool to get to read about their projects. And
Yeah.
this was something I was not exposed to before, and also a lot of African projects as well, and I was like, "Wow, that was very cool," just, you know, an observer. And I think another thing that's very useful about these pitch events is that it makes you have to work on your pitch. If you are somebody who's been kind of wishy-washy about it and you really wanna take part and you really wanna pop your head above the parapet and get some agent to pay attention to you, maybe this is the kick in your butt that you need to actually work on your pitch. You need to make it short and sweet. And a lot of times you get multiple opportunities in this window. So you might get 3 slots per project. You know, like maybe you can do 2 projects, 3 pitches you can do. So I use them for kind of like alpha beta, like A/B testing on pitches to see
Mhm.
what people respond to. And you can recycle them and you can start seeing patterns. And I have definitely seen patterns. I get an idea of like what are people responding to? What is it that's not only in this pitches, but kind of like what's in my projects that people are responding to. I found that pretty useful. And you can use that as well. You can transfer that to your query letter writing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I basically, for some pitches, took parts of my query letter, copy pasted, and then kind of massaged them down into the character limit.
Oh god, that character limit. Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the bad stuff. And also, it feels great to get likes. I was so lucky on the very first time that I did one that Kirk made me do it, and I was saying, "I'm really, really busy at work. I don't have time to do this." And he was like, "Okay, do it." And I just went, "Ugh, gross. I'll do it." And then he's like, "Oh no, now you have to do a mood board." And I went, "Bleh. I'm Gen X. We don't do mood boards." Talk to me about my Canva Pro account. I love mood boards now. And I did it and I got an agent like, and I queried her and it was not for her, but she had some very kind words for me. And then also getting as my first rejection, a personalized rejection was pretty great too.
And you know what? Like, if anything else, so I noticed that, not that I have a big sample size of agent likes, because of the pitch contests that I didn't get a lot of agent likes over the spread of them all, but I did get some personalized feedback from some of those agents. So if anything, maybe like, my use case of one here suggests that maybe you get better personalized feedback occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've certainly gotten other likes that I then pitched to where at least one of them was it was just a form, that I went, "Okay, that's fine." But it does feel good to get that validation. Like I was able to write something in 240 characters or 300 characters. Oh, my beautiful mood board that I spent 6 hours on. I'm so sorry. Trust me, if you wanna see my mood boards, just ask me. I'm very happy to show you them. Um, I it made me feel like, "Okay, maybe I know what I'm doing." And it also some of these pitch contests allow you to get really creative in different ways. So, you were talking about Chaos Pit, Unhinged Pit. They want you to be weird as possible, right? With your
Mhm.
like, all of your comps, instead of being in the last 3 to 5 years, they gotta be at least 10 years old, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it's gotta be totally bizarre. You set it I've done ones which were a Yelp review of the relationship that was at the heart of my first book. I've done an autopsy report.
Yes.
I've done God, what else have I done? I've done a personal ad. I've done all sorts of weird stuff. Oh, I did a
For
bingo card. That one was fun. It was crazy.
for
Don't do a bingo card, because you have to come up with 25 tiny, tiny pitches to put on a graphic. Do not do this. You will be up until 3 o'clock in the morning on a school night. Do not do this. It was fun.
for Unhinged Pit, I comped Anna Karenina.
Excellent.
So,
Nice.
where else are you going to be able to comp Anna Karenina?
I think I comped the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie, so because everybody needs a Louis Buñuel reference, and Martha Stewart's weddings,
Oh,
and
there you
and
go.
Gilmore Girls. I think that was all in one. So
Amazing.
just be super and it's fun. Everybody else is being weird. So go and be weird and be playful. And there are also ones where you pitch with memes, you pitch with playlists, you pitch the poster pit was make a movie poster. I am not creative enough. I let these wonderful people do poster pit in my stead because I can't do that. That's beyond my limited capacity. But it also makes you think about being playful with your own work. And when we were talking the other week about derivative works, you're essentially doing derivative works of your own work, right? You're doing fanfic of your own work. It's kind of fun. Very meta.
Well, any way that you can spend on your project, even if it's not like directly writing your project. I mean, it's the same thing like writing, character interviews or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's all helpful. It all
Yeah.
helps you get into the mode and make it better.
Anything that you can do to avoid writing
That's right.
is
Yes.
yes.
That's what I was
That
trying
is
to
a
say.
good thing. That is a good thing. And how about some of the not so good stuff? Writers behaving badly. What have you guys seen that's been a bit weird?
Yeah, and I think you could probably wrap that all up into the social media sucks package, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Social media brings out the worst in everybody, including writers. Yeah, so there are some not so great takes. I honestly I haven't seen that on Blue Sky. I saw it a lot on Twitter. Saw a lot of pitch drama on Twitter. Haven't seen it on Blue Sky. On the other hand, I haven't been focusing on pitches a lot lately. So, Megan, you might have a different experience.
Yeah, a Blue Sky, it's generally pretty good. I have found it very collaborative, very supportive. I did do 2 events on Twitter before I gave my big old sayonara. And I didn't see anything being weird. I think the biggest thing that I've seen on Blue Sky is that people will get a little bit touchy when you forget to do alt text on images.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, that's such a, like, non-issue, and that's kind of about it. The Blue Sky versus Twitter discussion is not one necessarily for this podcast, but platform has a lot to do with it. I did take part in one on Instagram a couple of months ago, and I'm not, like, a natural Instagram user. It is just
Same.
I do like taking pretty pictures. It felt like another platform to get involved with. I just didn't know what I was doing, and I felt buried. I didn't on Blue Sky, it's so easy to see what's happening in a very chronological way. On Instagram, it felt diffuse and like there was just so much going on. I felt overwhelmed and like who's actually seeing what? Where am I showing up in the algorithm? And then I remembered, oh yeah, that's why I left Twitter. One of the many reasons I left Twitter was the algorithm. There
Yeah.
on Blue Sky, there really is almost no algorithm except for the ones that you create for your own for yourself.
Mhm.
So I didn't like it as much, although I did appreciate having a lot of characters to work with in my explanation on the side. It was which feeds into my, tendency to overrate everything, but I didn't like it. I actually found that I felt more comfortable in a space where there were fewer characters on offer.
Instagram, in my opinion anyway, is a platform that does not lend itself well to pitch events. And it could be that, just my general reluctance to use the Instagram platform because I don't like taking pictures. I don't like making videos. And but it seems to me Instagram though is more like, for lack of a better word, like I'm the main character focused, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Less about community, more about look at me and what I'm doing. And so I don't know that Instagram is a great I know that there have been pitches run on Instagram. I guess I should probably, for research purposes anyway, I should probably take a look, but it just doesn't seem to me that it's a platform that lends itself very well to that type of an event.
I got significantly less engagement on Instagram than I
Sure.
got on Blue Sky. And probably that's a function of the number of followers that I have on the various platforms. But also, I had the hashtags in there. If you were looking for things, you should have been able to find me. And most of the people who liked my pitches on in the most recent Blue Sky event were people who didn't follow me.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah, I mean, it's very cool, and those people are now, we're mutuals and everything like that, and it's a way to meet other people. Instagram, I'm just like, oh. And then people were also reaching out to me and DMing me, and I'm not a good I don't like DMs, I'm sorry. Unless you're my friend, I probably won't respond to you. That's called anxiety. So, but, for me, it was overwhelming, and I I'm a good lib, and I like to stay in my little bubble, my little blue sky bubble. So, I wasn't crazy about it. Another kind of issue with these events is that there are lack of a better term, the note I wrote down for myself was the Hunger Games effect, right? So there's so
Yeah.
many pitches, and agents are only going to be there for so long. They're going to be dropping in and out, maybe over the course of a couple of days, but there's so many pitches that are happening at any one time. So if you happen to bubble up, I mean, great. It's happened to me. Um, I've
Yeah.
I've been very grateful for it. Some of my pitches have gotten like 50, 60 community likes, and then maybe like, 2 or 3 agents, are like, but you're just one of many. And timing, it has so much to do with it. There are ways of getting around that. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm always disadvantaged for these because they're either most of them are set on Eastern time, or they're taking place, on Greenwich Mean Time or British Summer Time. So, I'm always behind. There are tools. Buffer is a really great tool if you're gonna do it. You can pre-schedule your pitches. I did that for my last one. Set it, forget it, don't need to think about it, and, I
And
kind
Buffer is
of
free for, like, 3 platforms, I think?
yeah, for at least 3 it's definitely free for Blue Sky and Twitter, and just set it, and even if you're not using it for pitch events, even if you just wanna get yourself set up at the beginning of the week to make sure that you're posting every day or every other day or whatever, you wanna do, you wanna start putting more content out online, it's a good way of making sure that you actually do that, and it's free, so that's one way of getting around it, but again, are you really scheduling them at the right time? Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, and then other things like, you may have a wonderful pitch. What's your manuscript like? What's your query letter like?
Yeah.
It is you could be really great in 300 characters, 240 characters, but you still need to sell a book, right? So your book has got to be ready. Now,
This is really the crux of the issue, right? Like, it doesn't matter how you get an agent's attention, like, your book still has to sell itself, right?
yeah.
So, I hear criticisms about I don't know, so, like, some of the worst criticism or I guess the worst takes that I've heard is paying to pitch in front of an agent at a conference is unfair to people who can't pay for an agent, right? Or
Yeah.
can't pay for a pitch. So that comes into issues of privilege, of course, and yes, privilege exists. Setting that aside for just one moment, yes, maybe it does give you a leg up in the pile, but that doesn't give you a leg up in actually landing an agent. Your book is gonna do 95% of the heavy lifting, to land you an agent, and probably, you personally, as somebody that they, would actually wanna work with, does the other 5%. So
Yeah, likes don't mean getting an agent.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Ask me how I know. And then of course, there are problems like it can actually there's a lot of work that needs to go into getting ready for one of these things. So, crafting your pitches, making your mood boards, setting up lists of people that you've agreed to swap reposting with. It can take time. And then there's anxiety, waiting for the likes to come in. Who's retweeting or reposting my things? How many times have people looked at this? How many which ones are getting engagement? Which ones are people ignoring? And then, of course, who else is getting attention that I'm not getting?
Yeah.
It can feel like burnout after a while in terms of the rejection, and then also from getting ready multiple times a year to do these things again and again and again. You're recycling, but you also need to continue to make content for it. It can be hard. And there's also a question for some of and I have heard this online a little bit about some of the contests that are specifically for marginalized authors like DV Pit or Pit Dis or Queer Pit. How much are they actually helping marginalized authors? Is it a box checking exercise for agents like, look, I'm good, I'm reaching out to these communities. How many of these are actually converting into representation or even
Yeah.
into review and revise kind of things? It can be exhausting, especially for people who are saying, okay, we want you to talk about like perform your trauma or perform your identity in a very short space, a very short character limit.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
hard. I just did DV Pit. I am somebody who is eligible for doing that. I also was pitching a work that was not clearly about anyone who is a diverse character. got probably for one of the first time for one of these big events that I know agents go to, I got 0 agent likes, which frankly surprised me. And I wasn't comparing myself to other people, but I wondered like, okay, is my not being overtly a diverse voice harming me? And then what does that say about tokenization? It was a great community to be in. I have no criticism for the community at all, but it did make me have a lot of questions about what does this exist for? Have seen that a lot of people have gotten likes and it's really great. I've looked at some of their projects. They are super cool and I'm really glad it worked for them. I also think that I probably won't go back because I'm not sure that I am the right person for this space and that's okay. But they were very overt in doing this pitch event, saying that you don't need to necessarily have diverse characters in your work in order to pitch. And maybe it was that my thing just wasn't hitting, but I had an open question.
Earlier we talked about just how, it can make you feel a little bad sometimes, whether we're talking about your experience, right? Or any other pitching experience. If you think you've written an amazing book, you've got an amazing pitch, and you're seeing, I'll be honest, I've felt this myself. I've seen pitches that I thought were not great that had agent likes on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I got no agent likes. This inferior pitch, got
Ah!
2 agent likes. Like, what the hell's going on here? But, you know, so
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
these pitches can make you crazy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they are, and that's why I think I'm gonna be sticking for a while to these community events more,
Yeah.
because I love the hype feeling. It makes
Yeah.
me more excited about my work to be in it for everybody else, and having other people my fellow writers go, "Wow, what a great pitch." Like, "Oh my god, I love your mood board." That's what I'm actually getting a hell of a lot more out of it than the agent likes. If you're an agent and you are listening, you are very welcome to like any of my pitches. I will appreciate it, and I trust you. I've written a very good book, but I'm kind of in it now for this. And it is the classic your mileage may vary. It's really what you feel comfortable with. And that's the truth for so many social media led spheres. What are you comfortable with? So if you're gonna do it, what are some of the things that you need to keep in mind if you're really gonna do one of these things?
I think you need to keep in mind just the things that we've talked about, right? Like, pitching is going to drive you crazy sometimes. Comparing your work to other works is going to drive you crazy. In fact, there's no reason that you should be comparing your work to other works during a pitch event,
Yeah.
but it's probably inevitable. I did it, looking through all the pitches. Just, I tell you what I really enjoy though. I enjoy looking through all the pitches and seeing like some of the really clever ones.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little twist of phrase or something like that. So yeah, it's not all like, jealousy and hate. It's
No. Honestly, when I see stuff that is so much better than mine, I feel really good because, like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not jealousy, it's like, "Man, that's great."
Mhm. Mhm.
And it is that's I probably what the kids call toxic positivity, but I feel better about having a good outlook going in and 0 expectations. I would say if you're gonna do this, have no expectations except for having fun. You might not even have fun, but but I'd say go in it to make connections with your fellow writers. Know that a like isn't gonna mean an offer. Know that you probably are not gonna get a like.
That's fine.
So have an attitude of having 0 expectations, except for maybe having a little bit of fun, maybe connecting with your fellow writers, maybe understanding that you don't need to get validated by agents in order to get something out of these events. It's
Yeah.
also an opportunity to test your pitches. And I gotta say, take a break if you don't have a good time. You don't have to take part to query.
Yeah.
Querying is your probably is the way if you're doing TradPub that you're gonna find an agent. So don't think this is the end all be all. And if you are starting to feel like it's harming your mental health, do not take part. I don't take part in all of them. There, if you want to, there is, and we'll put this in the show notes. The next event is coming up on October 30th on Blue Sky. I think it's also on Twitter. It's Ghost Pit, which is to tie in with Halloween, of course, but it's on the 30th. And you do not have to have a supernatural or ghostly themed book at all. Just go and have fun. Try it out. Try uh, try doing a pitch. Why not?
Yeah.
You'll probably get ignored like the rest of us. You should definitely do Ghost Pit. You've got a spooky book.
I got a spooky book.
You got a
Yeah.
spooky book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. And unless, like, being, gaslit is ghostly, I don't have a spooky book. So, yeah, so Ghost Pit is coming up on October 30th. We will put links and information in the show notes. Highly recommend. And also, if you want my top tips on mood boards, reach out. We're at badlitfriends@gmail.com. I'll be happy to tell you how I learned how wonderful it is to make a mood board. So, if you were going to do it again, if you had never done a pitch event and you were listening to this podcast, bless you, for the first time, would you pitch or would you pass? It's my question to both of you.
Oh, I would pitch.
Yeah, I think I would pitch. It's hard for me to say because I pitched, right? So I guess it's just in the cards from the universe, but yeah,
So, let's do some hot goss.
Let's do
do it
hot
up.
gas.
So what we're going to be talking about on Hot Goss today, speaking of social media, people are very upset that this piracy website, Oceans of PDF, was offline for a while. It's back up, but it was offline. Reddit lost its mind. Twitter lost its mind. I think there was some talk about it on Threads too.
So, is Ocean of PDF?
Yeah, so Oceans of PDF, I hesitate to even say the name because I don't want people going out there Googling it, visiting it, or whatever, giving it any kind of traffic at all. It is a book piracy website. And typically, how books make their way onto this website is through ARCs, because ARCs, advanced reader copies, so electronic advanced reader copies that publishers will send out to kind of build buzz around a book before it's published. Typically, those don't have any kind of copy protection on them. And so, invariably, it just takes one copy. It'll make its way to Oceans of PDF. And then this book that you have, burnt your soul on writing is now just out there willy-nilly available for free. So obviously you can already tell which side of this that I'm on. Obviously there, as a writer, you want to be paid for your work, right? Or maybe you don't, and that's fine. Put it up on a website and guide people to download the PDF or whatever. But many of us would like to be paid for our work. And so it is piracy. It is stolen. The anti-argument, and this is why people were in such an uproar when Oceans of PDF went offline. I think for like a day. It wasn't even that
It was a
long.
few days. It
Few
was
days,
not
yeah.
very long. Yeah.
I think what panicked people is that they thought it might be gone forever. In any case, the pro piracy argument is, look, there are some people that live in third world countries who don't have the money to pay, 19.95 for a hardcover book or whatever, or even 3.99 for a PD for an electronic copy, right?
Yeah.
And on the face of this, it's not the worst argument, right? It's still problematic, but I can sympathize for somebody who is in a situation that wants to read a book that just doesn't have the legitimate means, the access to a book. On the other hand, a lot of these downloaders are not people, starving in a third world country. They
No.
are people, Westerners. They are living in the United States. They're living in the UK. And just like they're pulling down games from the internet or whatever, they're pulling down your book too. And
Yeah.
so I'm calling bullshit on about 90% of that. Think of the poor third world people who
No,
can't get
I
books.
think it's actually, I'll be totally honest, it's really fucking insulting. It is using it's cloaking your cheapness in the guise of less advantaged people than yourself. It's the whole think of the children argument,
Right.
but worse, because it is tokenism. And I saw some of these TikToks of people despairing that, their books had been their books, the books that they were reading were being taken away from them. No, you can buy the book. It's or you can get it from your library, or you
Yeah.
can, if you are so lucky as to be able to afford a Kindle Unlimited subscription, you can probably read it for free. Or as pointed out in the video that you shared with us that discussed this, a lot of these authors will give you a copy for free if you ask them and you are in a situation where, like, I can't afford it, but I'd love to read your book,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
So why? Why are you doing it? And I say this as somebody who, you know, downloaded some music from LimeWire in the 2000s,
Well,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm
And let
I'm
me tell
not
you
above reproach on this one.
And let me tell you something, Oceans of PDF even has a statement on their website like, here's why we do it. We believe information should be free, right? And I agree,
Fantastic.
actually. I agree information should be free. Entertainment doesn't have to be free. They say this out of one side of their mouth. On the other, they've got a what is it, like buy me a coffee
Yeah,
donation
they've got a
button,
Ko-fi,
right?
yeah.
This is a for-profit venture. And I will bet my next paycheck that they are not taking that money that you donate to their website and sending it to third world countries
No,
to buy
no,
them library books.
no, and, and perhaps they're using some of it to pay for,
Well, web
maintaining their
hosting,
website,
right? Yeah,
web
yeah.
hosting, all that stuff. Hey, if you're listening to our podcast, you wanna give us some money to support our web hosting, we're not gonna stop you, as I say, we accept bribes, but we're not asking for it. Our information and entertainment is genuinely free, to our detriment and possibly to yours as well.
Until
But
we hit that critical mass and then we start selling
and
out the Blue
and
Apron. Yeah.
yeah, 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 we're ready to sell you Blue
I'm
Apron.
sorry, did I say the quiet part out loud?
Yeah, yeah, but it's so cynical. It's so cynical.
I think I would be less insulted if it wasn't for the performative bullshit, right? Like, don't tell
Yeah,
me about poor people that can't afford books. Like, first of all, whoever is getting these books has an internet connection and has a computer. Now, I will grant you that a lot of third world people have some access to the internet,
yeah.
because they need to, right? So I'm not making this argument of I'm not making this kind of right-wing argument where, like, well, you can afford your cell phone and avocado toast, so why don't you get a job? But I am saying it is such a disingenuous argument to say we're doing this for the poors. No, you're not.
No,
You're you're
no,
you're running a
absolutely not.
for-profit operation from piracy.
I have more respect for outfits, pirate outfits that call themselves pirate outfits than for these outfits that are saying, "We're doing it for, the disadvantaged and disenfranchised people out there who just want to share." No, you're not. You want money. Be honest. You want
And the other
money.
thing is you're often stealing granted, books like Harry Potter are on this website, right? So but there are also books where you are stealing from an author who has to work another job, maybe another couple jobs, because newsflash for you, writing does not pay the bills for most authors. It is really the very minority of authors who actually are able to take writing and turn it into a career.
Yeah, completely. And, th our ranting about this is not gonna obviously not gonna stop people from doing it, but if you're tempted to do it, have a think about why you're doing it and whether or not you can afford to buy it or even rent it, or it otherwise, you're just being cheap and you're being cynical.
Yeah, and slap yourself on the face.
I mean, maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit, I don't know, you know? If you do, there's no shame, that's okay, Do something that makes yourself really uncomfortable if you enjoy getting slapped in the face. Bad Lip Friends does not endorse face slapping. It's important.
I kind of do.
So, the big takeaway for pitch events is that they can be a lot of fun. Occasionally, you're going to get a like. There might be some fruit that comes out of it. They are not the end all and be all. You still have to have a great manuscript. So if you aren't quite there are pitch events. We talked about a couple of them that are for works in progress. I've taken part in several of them. They are super fun too. And maybe that's a good way of getting into them before you're ready. But if you are going into one of those ones where agents are there and they are looking for ready to go manuscripts that you're ready to query, be ready. I say this as somebody who, pitched a book that then needed 3 weeks of revision, Take it from me. Next week, we are going to talk about revisions.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay, revisions. No, yay, revisions. No, yay, revisions. I promise we will somehow make it more interesting than we've just made it sound, hopefully. In the meantime, you can find us on all of the socials at Badlit Friends. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram, which we thoroughly trashed. We are also on Threads, which I hate with the heat of 1,000 suns, but that's okay. It's where we get all the good hot gossip. We are also at badlitfriends.com. Like, subscribe, review, make us happy. Mom, if you're listening, we did discuss having an episode about jargon. So we are taking comments on board. We will take your comments on board if you'd like to leave us some. But until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.